What's up, everybody? This is the Chicago Sports Talk Michael back at it again with a Chicago Bears video in about almost an hour because I live in Florida, by the way. If y'all don't know where I live by now, unless you're a loyal subscriber like some of y'all, but if you're new in, if you're just tuning in, grab a juice, grab your drinks, grab your popcorn because it's gonna be a fun off season. So hope everybody is at least having a nice evening Sunday. So tomorrow will be the new legally tampering periods start tomorrow for teams, which means that NFL free agents are expected to they can sign new deals with teams if they wanted to. Now, I was gonna do this video in the afternoon, but the Kevin Byard news hit right away, and I had to do a video on it. No, not a video. Apologies. I did a live stream of the signing, gave my thoughts of opinions on it. You can go check that one out for yourself. It should be if you have time after this video. I want to talk about the Bears off season, and I'm going to be honest. And if you're pro Caleb, I'm talking to some Bears fans because there's some Bears fans that want Caleb Williams. Majority want Justin Fields. And if you talk to a Caleb fan, they're just gonna say they're taking Caleb, no questions. It's not a discussion, but they don't understand the pure context of how the Bears are going into next season. They could have fired Matt Eberflus at the end of the season if they were going to go a different route. You don't usually keep Matt Eberflus and then draft a quarterback with the number one overall pick. And here's what I'm going to explain why that's not usually the case. And previous history with Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields, where they have a lame duck head coach, which Matt Eberflus is a lame duck head coach. Either way, that means if you keep Justin, if you draft a quarterback, that means he's a lame duck head coach. And the rookie, they don't win as much games. The coach gets fired and they have to learn a different system. So I think Ryan Poles is way smarter than what Ryan Pace would have done. If it was Ryan Pace, first of all, we have Ryan Pace, we would have Bryce Young as our quarterback. I guarantee it. But this is not a thing of, and plus the only reason why I'm going to be mostly talking about this because it's going to be a speculation. And trust me, I'm getting tired of talking about it as much as you are viewing this video. I'm getting tired of it because every day on Twitter, every day on Instagram, every time on YouTube, well, not really on YouTube, but more on social media, you see the whole, Caleb Williams is a generational quarterback. Hey, can you imagine Caleb Williams with Roma Doomsday? Hey, can you imagine Caleb Williams with Malik Neighbors? Can you imagine Caleb Williams with Brock Bowers? Folks, if we take Caleb Williams with the number one overall pick, the likely of us getting either of those three people are very rare. And if you look at the trade market for Fields, which I'll get to a second, it's very low as people want to speculate. To be honest with y'all, people want to say that, Ryan Poles, his job is in jeopardy if he does not take Caleb Williams. He has said this before, and he'll say it again. Whatever decision that – sorry, I found my Xbox just turned on for a moment. That randomly does that. So whatever decision that we make is not by fear. It is by what is best for the team. So rather or not, you have to think logically and think outside of the box for a second. Ryan Poles is going to definitely trade the pick. And I'm going to tell you why. And I just explained to you why the Matt Eberflus thing. But that doesn't give you a lot of context to it. The additioning of adding Shane Waldron to the Chicago Bears, our offensive coordinator, we've interviewed like 8 or 9 different people. We ended up hiring Shane Waldron. And one of the 9 to 8 individuals that we interviewed was Caleb's quarterback coach, Cliff Kingsbury. And I'm going to be the first one to say this. Caleb does not fit Shane Waldron's offense. I feel like Caleb fits probably more in a air raid offense. And I'm going to explain why. Rarely in USC, you see Caleb Williams play under center a lot. You mostly see him out of shotgun formation. In Shane Waldron's, he mostly does under center. So I do not think Caleb is going to fit in Shane Waldron's offense. It would have made more sense if the Bears were going to take Caleb Williams to hire Cliff Kingsbury, someone who actually knows how to use Caleb Williams and will use him to his strengths accordingly. And people want to say, well, Cliff is a bad offense. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Cliff is a good offensive coordinator. I personally didn't want Cliff Kingsbury, but looking at Cliff's system and compare it to Waldron's system, it doesn't make sense to me why Caleb is going to adapt in that offense. And people want to say, well, why don't you think Fields won't either? Because I've seen Justin Fields with a experienced play caller in his rookie year, Bill Lazor. And yes, if you look at his stats in his rookie year, they don't tell the full story. But guess what? If you see it with your own eyes, Justin Fields looked like a different quarterback with a veteran play caller. And now Shane Waldron would be the best play caller for him ever. If he does not leave Chicago, this will be the best play caller that he has ever had. And to be honest, we have to, take this, like, with the steps that the Bears are going, re-signing, giving Jalen Johnson a huge bag, giving Montez Sweat a bag, bringing in an old age, a 30-year-old safety, Kevin Byard. Do you really think it would have been absolutely different if the Bears were going to go the Caleb Williams route? And people want to say, well, Michael, if you guys did potentially, if we fired Matt Eberflus and you want to compare Caleb with somebody, who would you get? Well, there's many people we could have got. And one of them is Jim Harbaugh. I'll say that, Jim Harbaugh. Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, Mike Vrabel, even Dan Quinn, who would have added the addition to Cliff Kingsbury. I'm sorry. It makes too much sense what the Bears are going to do. And let's get to the whole Justin Fields trade market. People want to say, wow, the Bears are trying to move off of Justin Fields. It's that other teams do not view Justin Fields as a potential starter. Well, that's bullshit. I'll tell you that's bullshit. Because I'll give you I think he would start on the Falcons. I would think he would start on the Steelers. And I think he would start on the Denver Broncos. Those are three teams that even if they don't view Justin Fields as worth a first, maybe a second round, the thing is the league does not view Justin Fields as complete terrible. Some even are calling the Bears right now and saying, hey, if you consider being in love with Caleb Williams, okay, that's fine. We'll get Justin Fields off your release so it doesn't be a bigger problem. Like, you have people saying that no matter what the Bears are offering, which I got off the Undisputed podcast. Shout out to aka RJ and CEO, the one. And I was just listening. I was playing my game and I was listening. They're saying, Ryan Poles, whatever offer you can get, even if it's a 7th round pick, take it. And I'm going to show this a video about how Ryan Poles is, and you can go look at that press conference for yourself. I want to build for the draft brick by brick. And he has done that lately for the Bears. So far, he's been a good general manager besides the Chase Claypool thing. And here's the thing. Poles is not a general manager that's going to lie. Everything that he says is 100% accurate. And that's up to you to believe that, oh, what he says is a lie, and try to compare it to when Cliff Kingsbury said Josh Rosen was our guy, which even though he's a known liar, Poles is not. Poles is very honest and collective. And to be honest with you, he knows what's best for the team better than I do, and even better than what you do. So you could say, hey, we're going to get Caleb, and that will save his job. And that would be the right decision for Poles to do. Poles may not think that. Hell, maybe I could be wrong, and you could be wrong about the Bears taking Caleb. They could very much trade down and still trade Justin Fields and take Drake May or Jaden Daniels with either the second or the third pick. Hell, they could trade and take JJ for all I know. Regardless, Poles is going to make the decision not based off fear of what's best for the team's future. And even if that means getting a ton of draft picks, like I have this thing, okay? And I know we all want to talk about players being traded, the Daron Paynes, the Scary Terrys, the Dexter Lawrences, the Kayvon Thibodeaux, the Kyle Pitts, the Andrew Thomases, the Max Crosbys. Look, the chances of them pulling off what the Panthers did, like they're looking at what happened to the Panthers after they traded DJ Moore and somewhat of their draft capital to acquire the first overall pick. They're going to say, we're not going to get fleeced like the Panthers did, because don't get me wrong, the Panthers are going to be trash for the next 15 years because of that one trade alone. It's going to take them a while to get back. May not even be that. But I beg to differ. So maybe they could get a haul of picks, not a player. And I'm going to be honest. People want to say, well, the Panthers were really desperate of a quarterback. Why not the Giants? The Giants have the 6th overall pick in the 2024 NFL draft. They're not even in range for the top 3 quarterbacks. That means Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, or Drake May. The chances of them trading up for Washington, you can already cross that off right off the bat, because Washington wants Caleb Williams, and they're not going to trade, especially with the ops, to potentially get one of the top tier quarterbacks, even if it's not Caleb. As far as New England Patriots goes, the Mac Jones trade says itself. They're getting a quarterback. So unless you want to think outside the box and you think that Michael Penix is going to be a Giant with the 6th overall pick, you're bugging. Because you want to know why? Michael Penix, Bo Nix, maybe JJ, I hope he goes to the Vikings. You can already maybe cross off JJ off the list if you want to, but that's just me. The Giants are going to have to rely on getting an offensive lineman or Malik Neighbors and go in the 2nd round and take either Bo Nix or Michael Penix. So we have to think outside the box and say that the Panthers were really desperate. Well, why not the Giants? The Giants are the 6th pick, and that they're out of range to get 3 potential quarterbacks. And I love when people want to bring up the Daniel Jones contract. Yes, that was stupid of them to pay Daniel Jones that big money. I think even a dumbest Giants fan would tell you that it was a waste of money. But they have a 2nd-year opt-out on Daniel Jones's contract. They can easily opt it out, and he'll be a free agent as soon as next year. So they're going to get – obviously, if they get Caleb Williams, he's going to sit behind Daniel Jones most likely, and probably will get thrown into the wolves because that offensive line is going to take a while for them to gel. But to be honest with y'all, Caleb Williams will probably be set up to fail more in New York than he is on the Commanders, because at least with the Commanders, he has Cliff Kingsbury. Dan Quinn, I mean, last year the Cowboys were a top tier unit with Dan Quinn as a defensive head coach, but the Giants, it's a whole different story. Brian Daboll regressed after the Coach of the Year season. They have no offensive line. They have no weapons. So I'm all for trading with the Giants, giving them Caleb Williams, and setting up us perfectly for the future. Or another scenario that the Bears we don't talk about is, what if teams are definitely afraid to get fleeced? What if Ryan Poles says, you know what? Okay, we'll trade with Washington so they can get Caleb Williams. And then we're going to trade down from number 2 to number 6 with the New York Football Giants so they can get either Drake May or Jaden Daniels. And you can absolutely say it for yourself that maybe you won't get the haul that you're expecting just by one trade offer. You might have to trade down twice. So that means you'll be going from pick 1 to 2 to 2 to 6. And maybe if Atlanta wants to join in on the fun, you would be moving from 1 to 2 and 2 to 8. And that's the very light. And plus, I really love this notion that if we take Caleb Williams, we have to pair him with a wide receiver. We have to pair him with Roma Doomsday. We have to pair him with Malik Neighbors. We have to pair him with Brock Bowers. Folks, those 3 players that you say that we need to pair with Caleb Williams, they're going to be taken. I'll give you teams before our 9th overall pick that can use their talents. The Giants, the Chargers, the Falcons all need wide receiver, tight end. And even the Tennessee Titans, you can throw that one in there for yourself. Who do you take with the 9th overall pick? Joel, if he's there, that means you think he'll be better than Braxton Jones. And then you would have to wait until the later rounds to draft your starting center, a.k.a. Not Jackson Powers Johnson, because he'll be taken early in the first round because he's first round talent material for you dumb geeks. It's logical. Build a team for the draft. People want to say, well, why don't you rely on free agency? Free agency can be good, but not always reliable. Not always reliable. The best way to build a team is through the draft. And I like the whole notion that, Fields' trade market is so low and other teams don't view him as good. So what's the point of the Bears keeping him and starting him? Maybe because they were never shopping him in the first place. Did you think about that? And no one talks about this. Caleb Williams has yet to give his medical records to the Chicago Bears. He has yet to do a potential visit to the Chicago Bears. The Bears tried with Caleb Williams, and he declined their meeting after the combine, which honestly, I don't have a problem with Caleb Williams giving out his medicals, but he should have done the medical exam during the combine like the other majority of NFL players did, even quarterbacks that probably viewed as are in the same draft class as him. They did the medical exams. Caleb didn't. Caleb has his mindset, I'm going to be availability. Look, those that say that Caleb's generational, they'll never admit his flaws. They'll never say he holds on the ball for too long. They'll never say he plays hero ball way too much. They'll say the bowl game where his backup performed way better than him, and people want to say, well, it was against a backup Louisville defense. I don't even care if they were facing Columbia. I don't care if they were facing Columbia. When your backup plays better than what you did, even if you view Caleb as a generational, you have to take that to a consideration and be like, well, maybe. And plus, people want to say Caleb doesn't have any weapons. Okay, Jordan Addison, yeah, Jordan Addison's good. No one's denying that. But people forget that Brandon Rice and Taj Washington don't exist. It's a big something to consider. And yes, his defense was atrocious. Not denying that. No one is denying that Caleb's defense was atrocious. But if you go look at the majority of games that Caleb Williams played against a top-tier defense, which Caleb Williams is going to face top-tier defenses regardless where he goes. If he looked bad against Notre Dame and a couple other teams, if you go look at the stats of Caleb Williams against top teams that are 25, you will see a huge difference. But they never, the scouts will never admit that because every 3 years they have to label somebody as generational. But in reality, and you want to know why I'm checking my phone constantly, is to see if any news comes up before this video drops. So no, and plus, they'll never say his flaws out loud. They'll say that, oh, he's just this walk-on-water quarterback. And just, he walks on water and he's going to be this generational quarterback that has ever walked the face of the NFL field. And he's going to take the league by storm by his first NFL start. It's too much expectations for Caleb Williams to start. He's going to translate from college to NFL for most players, and people want to bring up the CJ Strauss, the Andrew Lucks, and whoever who had a breakout rookie year from the start. But that's the likelihood of Caleb Williams being the next Patrick Mahomes, and I love the argument that people want to say, oh, their play style is similar. When you say that Caleb Williams is Mahomes 2.0, you're saying that Caleb Williams is definitely going to take the next level of Mahomes 2.0. I don't care about the play styles. I don't care if he does these beautiful sidearm throws against below fucking league defenses in the national football, not national college. I don't care. Do you want to know what people care about, including me, is if you can perform that on the field. If Caleb Williams is anywhere near the talent of Patrick Mahomes, that would be the greatest thing in Chicago for a while. But is that likely to happen? No. Caleb is far beyond Mahomes' level. And let me be honest. Trevor Lawrence, Andrew Luck were better prospects coming into the draft than Caleb Williams is. And you can make the case Johnny Manziel was a better prospect coming in than Caleb Williams. Don't believe me? Go look at the stats and compare it for yourself. Johnny Manziel, I mean, granted, he's a bust. No one's denying that. But if you're talking about prospects, you would have to be an absolute idiot or an absolute geek to think Caleb Williams is way better than Andrew Luck and Trevor Lawrence. Both are leagues level beyond Caleb Williams. And to be honest with you, the day is coming. The day is coming. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The day is coming when the Bears, if and when they do trade that pick. And I made a promise to my boy Keith on the mic. Shout out to Keith on the mic if you're watching this. That we're going to go live and we're going to laugh at y'all and say that we told you so. All of this is speculating. Every time you see an article be like, oh, the Bears are trying to move on from Fields. They just can't find a trade partner. And Ryan Poles is getting too greedy. He's definitely, it's not going to get a second or a first round pick out of Fields. Folks, and the thing that I love is, if Ryan Poles passes up on Caleb Williams, then he needs to be fired immediately. That's the whole notion that everyone will make up. And then if and when that day comes, everyone's going to be surprised. Everyone's going to call Ryan Poles head. And I'm just going to be like, bro, I told you so. What it's all set in stone what Ryan Poles is doing. Ryan Poles is trying to drive up the value for the number 1 overall pick. He's not going to say too much. He's not going to say, yeah, I'm keeping Fields, or, oh, I'm definitely getting Caleb Williams, because he's not going to do that. It's set in stone. He has yet to get to know Caleb personally, but Caleb's being too hard on him. And Ryan Poles has said this. It is not about the player. It is about the character. Because if it wasn't about the character, the Bears would have drafted Jalen Carter. So let's think outside the box here. You really think Ryan Poles already knows Caleb's character already? And if you say you don't, you're lying. So anyways, that's all for today's video. Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, thanks for watching, and bear down.